Welcome to another episode of Dinner Starts Here. A pretty unique one, actually, at the Koskamp Family Farms, because in behind us, we're right at milking time. You guys are milking water buffalo. Why water buffalo?
Because nobody was doing it.
Nobody was doing it. There's like 10 in the whole country that are actually doing this. So this is going to be a pretty fascinating tour. Maybe we can start with kind of the milking process. How do you milk the water buffalo? Patiently.
Don't get in a hurry.
Yeah, they're pretty easygoing. Yeah, and you just kind of, I mean, you give them a bit of an antibacterial dip to clean them off.
Just keep things clean, keep it dry, keep it relaxed. Most things go better when you go that way.
Well, that's good because they seem fairly quiet animals.
They love attention.
Yeah.
They're very social. They're very intelligent animals.
Oh, very cool. So then, I mean, obviously the next question is what do you do with all the milk and meat? But fortunately, you've got to look at that in the kitchen. Can we have a look in the kitchen at that?
Absolutely.
So now we're in the kitchen. Actually, the water buffalo are being milked right behind the door. You've got a cleaner kitchen than I do in your barn. And you're showing off actually some of the products that milk's being used for. What does water buffalo milk get used for?
So the biggest one is the buffalo mozzarella, and it's a ball in its own brine. It comes in different sizes. That's the biggest one we were after to replace the import. Other ones we do is our cheese processor works together with Guns Hill by Woodstock, and they do a Gouda style cheese, Oxford Street, Albert Sleep. And we have other ones like just Caciocavallo plain and smoked. These as well as the mozzarella, put it on pizza. It is.
It's the stuff. So now where does, like, I mean, to be honest, I've never looked for water buffalo cheese, but if I was looking for it, where would I go and find it?
Most major stores have it.
Do they now?
Yes, and even fine ones. And if not, look up Water Buffalo Canada, and we will find out.
You'll find out where the closest one is. So, and then the other side is the meat side to what you've got, because obviously some of those are not going into the dairy herd; they're going for the meat herd.
Yes.
What kind of meat, or what's the meat like on a water buffalo?
So the buffalo meat is fairly lean, okay? And with lean meat, you have to be careful you don't overcook it, because if you don't have the marbling in it, it's very easy to overcook. So we made our brand. It's called Tenderbuff, and Tenderbuff animals will not be over a year old. Once they get older than that, the meat can get a little tougher. We want to keep it tender, and we want to make sure nobody has a bad steak and nobody has a bad roast. So that's where the Tenderbuff comes from. The older animals, for the most part, they go into a ground, and we turn them into a summer sausage or pepperettes.
Well, then, I mean, it's making me hungry, but what I'd like to do actually first is go into the barn and we'll take a look at how you look after water buffalo. All right, so we've moved into the barn, and I mean, these are pretty quiet, curious animals, and I've noticed, I mean, we came here, they were all fairly quiet, and within about 3 seconds, they have decided they've got to figure out what's going on. That tends to be what this animal must be like, obviously. They want to be part of the show. Now, I mean, otherwise, this looks like a pretty typical kind of Canadian dairy barn, but there must be a few things that are different to looking after a water buffalo. How do you look after a water buffalo here?
Well, I often think we do take good care of our animals, and I think we actually do better than most people on this planet. Mm-hmm. Our animals are in an insulated building. They're free to roam. They have clean, potable water. They have good, clean, healthy feed.
What do they eat?
Got some things like wheat straw in here, chopped up corn straw, or corn silage, which will be the whole plant, a whole corn plant. You're going to see things like alfalfa, timothy, kinds of the grass family in here. And if we really shake it out, I'm sure we might find some ground oats and barley or corn.
Mm-hmm. Some grain too.
It's a whole mixture, and then vitamins, minerals, a whole package in there.
Yep.
So clean potable water, balanced diet, clean dry place to lay, social interaction.
They're pretty comfortable, and obviously they seem exactly that way. Yeah. Now, how much milk does a water buffalo give?
We're averaging between 8 and 9 liters.
8 and 9 liters.
Yeah, we got top animals that are clear 20.
Yep. Oh, and then in terms of like what's in that milk, fat-wise, protein, like what?
The more milk they give, naturally the less the fat is. But we'll be right anywhere from 6 to 10% fat.
Now the other thing you're making, I mean the barn's too clean for me to even zoom in on a cow patty, but you're using what these water buffalo, and I guess it's not even a cow patty, it's a water buffalo patty. The poop.
Yep.
You're actually harvesting that. How do you harvest poop here?
Well, it comes on the ground and we collect it all and we put it in a large vessel with a balloon over the top. And we keep it at body temperature around 38 degrees. And we just with the balloon over it, there's no oxygen. So it's the anaerobic bacteria, meaning no oxygen. And in a nice warm state, they break down all the complex carbons, fibers, waxes, any sugars or proteins that the cow didn't utilize while it was in her stomach for maybe 24 hours. We put it in the digester for 20 to 40 days, and it produces methane. Methane is one of the gases. What I'm producing with the manure from the buffaloes, as well as some of the waste and some of the green garbage that comes out of many houses in the city. They sort their garbage, we'll take that.
With the compost too.
The compost, we mix it all back in, and we put it in this vessel for 20 to 40 days, harvest all the natural gas off it. We run an engine and make electricity.
Oh really? That's what you're doing with that gas. Under that bubble is that gas, and it's gonna run an engine and it's gonna make
just bubbling
electricity.
And when soil conditions are right and everything is right in the spring, then we'll land apply it, incorporate it into soil, and we'll grow a crop again.
Well, pretty cool that you guys are doing that right here in Ontario. Thanks so much for the tour today.
No problem.